transformative power of education is undeniable. What does it take to break down financial barriers and motivate youth to pursue educational aspirations? Hi, I'm Tej, and to answer that question, I have someone whose unwavering commitment to fostering a brighter future for the youth serves as a beacon of hope, inspiring countless young minds to overcome obstacles and embrace the power of education. Monique Robinson has been Teacher of the Year for Imagine Schools, District, and Region for her educational contributions. She hosts a weekly television show, is a motivational speaker, and is an 8 time best-selling national and international contributing author. How great is that? Welcome to the podcast, Monique.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, that's phenomenal, whatever you are doing. So many things all rolled into one. You are also turning textbooks into tickets to success.
Yes, I try.
So, absolutely. Yeah. So, tell us, what was it that made you sort of quit your teaching job to start a better chance for youth futures incorporated? That's the name of your nonprofit.
Yes. Actually, I am still in education. Haven't totally stopped. I'm just not in the classroom.
Uh-huh.
However, what made me develop the nonprofit is that I seen students who were minority students, and a lot of times the only option was for the teachers or the guidance counselors was to send them to community schools as if they didn't have
Mhm.
potential to go to a traditional college. And I'm not going to name the school, but one of the schools I was at, I just got so fed up. We started like after school club, and I would introduce the scholars to historically black colleges. I would take them to homecomings. I would tell them, this is not your final option. There's a chance at education for you. And like you mentioned in the intro, financials are always the pushback. And I was like, well, you
Yes,
got
yes.
talent. You got talent. We can work on grades. There is a place for you to go to school. And so from that, that's what developed us into, where we are now, fully nonprofit that don't just service scholars that are in my own backyard. I literally have scholars across the states. Like I have kids in Seattle,
Mhm.
I have kids in Dayton, Ohio, I have kids in Detroit, Michigan. And usually
Mhm.
people just call or they follow the podcast, they request me to come speak or do a workshop. And it's like, okay, I'm going to follow you all the way through school. And that's literally what we do.
Wow. How many students do you have currently enrolled in your program?
Well, we just had a graduating class, which I'm learning that even though they graduate from high school, they still like to stick around because of the support we provide. Like we literally start as young as eighth grade. We go all the
Mhm.
way to 12th grade, in which I'm learning that they love the support through college because once they get to college, we send care packages, motivational notes. We actually have part of our program called motivational mailing. So we have a little over 100 scholars that we have watched transition through this, and we've been a nonprofit since 2017. Because it was just I was doing this just like favors for friends, helping them get into school, improving points to different educators. Like,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
what? You got a 1 point whatever. I could get you in school. Now you got to do what you need to do to stay there. And I guess part of that drive that makes me going is because I myself, and I hate to put my own business out here, I graduated. I guess you want to say the lower percentile in my class. I graduated high school with a 1.9.
Mhm.
Not nothing to be proud of, but sometimes you go through stuff to get to where you are now.
There are lessons
So
to be learned, yes. Yes.
Yes, so I graduated both my advanced degrees with honors, but I had to go through that rough patch of high school, not really, And so I use
Mhm.
that and express that to the scholars. And then I actually show them, look, I had this going on in high school, that going on in high school, but I am not my circumstances. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
with that, that's how we tend to help others. And we also, like you mentioned before, we do have a talk show that's on the Daily Gospel Network where we highlight youth entrepreneurs, HBCU graduates, so they can actually see the success, because this is that generation. If they don't see it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, true, very true. So, do you have people who, students and parents who are coming to you with, can you help my child? Do you have to approach people, or do people approach you?
Actually, at first, it was a rough start because historically, Black colleges and universities is not as popular. A lot of people are drawn to the big names. They're drawn to the big
Hmm.
schools that a lot of people may talk about. And at first, it was me approaching people, and I guess with different trends and things, I will always tell people, yeah, COVID was bad, but COVID actually helped a lot of us. COVID
That's true.
allowed
That's very
me to,
true.
it did, like, it allowed me to get, okay, look, I'm either gonna sink or swim. And it allowed me to get to be on a podcast. It allowed me to start writing books and start linking up with different people, because we're stuck in a house. We might as well communicate with somebody. And
Hmm.
that patch of COVID where I guess you want to say the world was shut down, but online wasn't. And that kind of, I guess you would say, helped me get more creative in marketing and creative in reaching out to people.
Hmm.
So from that, and then I also I do a newsletter where I share the success stories or draw people to go to the web page. So at first I did. I'm be honest, it was a really humble beginning, really humble
But
beginning.
all
But
beginnings are humble.
yes,
Till
and it
people
was
get to know about the good work that you are doing.
exactly. I mean, and that's honestly, I look back at it, I'm like, goodness, did I really start like that? Sometimes I look at old magazines that I may have been in or publications, and I'm like, Jesus, was it that bad at the beginning? I haven't arrived, because I'm always learning. As you know, you're an educator as well. We always learn. We always try to do something different,
Absolutely, yes, yes.
and
That is
so
life, isn't it? You learn from
yes.
the past. History is there to teach us so many things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I honestly use that. And I also use some of my scholars that I may have taught before, some of the parents that may have went through the program. And what I'm finding in teaching the scholars, some of the parents, they're also interested in going back to school as well. So,
How nice.
so it's like exciting to see that. So,
It is, yeah, absolutely. So you must be having a kind of a entire list of schools and colleges where children can apply. So you have some collaborations happening there too. Is somebody
yeah,
helping you out?
I actually have built relationships with mostly all of the historically Black college community and the admission counselors at the schools. And
Hmm.
sometimes some of the schools, they will notify me, hey, we got this opening for this type of scholar. And we also just work together. And I think a lot of people don't realize elevation comes with collaboration.
True, very true.
And if you're not willing to work with people, then it's not gonna last long. And so
Hmm.
in that, I've built those type of relationships with different admission counselors, different alums that are like, hey, how can I help? This is a really good program. And so we've been really blessed. We have
Yeah.
been really blessed because never would I have imagined that I would have a nonprofit, that I would have done many things that when you
Hmm.
did the introduction, I was like, oh my gosh, she makes it like I can walk on water.
Yes. Well, you have all those. I took it from your website. I haven't cooked it out of thin air.
So yes, and we
Yes.
get extremely excited. I do have a team of 4. You would think we have a million people, but we don't. but I
Mhm.
am learning that as we are growing and as the demand is getting higher, we have to, I guess, get out our comfort zone of four and probably, double so we can reach the masses and help everybody reach the educational goals for minority students and
Right.
scholars.
Like they say, growth happens when you get out of your comfort zone, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. Let's take a break to understand what Chizuba is. Everyone at some point ponders on how this beautiful life can be made more meaningful. Maybe you're a leader trying to enhance your employees' experience at your organization. Or you already work for the community and seek volunteers with state of the art skills to strengthen your nonprofit. Whatever your situation, know that you can make a difference. Chizuba began with this very vision, a vision to facilitate every skill and every passion in the world in meeting a social need. Corporate volunteering has several benefits for both businesses and organizations. In parallel, experienced and enthusiastic volunteers join NGO workers, enabling them to serve the community more effectively. Chizuba offers everyone looking to add purpose and meaning to their lives a chance to connect or volunteer virtually with nonprofit organizations from over 100 countries around the world. Visit www.chizuba.net and explore opportunities to find meaning. Chizuba, your platform to do good. And now, back with our guest. So, when you collaborate with these schools and colleges, do you see a pattern in the kind of students that apply? Is it more inclined towards the humanities or the STEM, or people who would? Where do you see more girls, more boys? How do you see this?
Well, this year it has been a very, I guess you would say, a very unique year.
Mhm.
We have had several scholars go off into the realm of political science. I
Mhm.
have still always STEM engineering, but this year it has been like a high demand for poli sci. And I'm like, goodness, but I guess with all the social injustices that are going on, it just puts that urge in the scholars to want to do that. And
Change.
right, I challenged them. I'm like, hey, if you're going to go on the poli sci, why not join a debate team? Look up the school and see if they have a debate team, and so that branches off and they're like, they do have a debate team. And so that's a way of milking them in. Like, hey, if it's a debate team, that's an opportunity for a scholarship. You could go to school for arguing in their terms. I
Mm.
have to say it that way, but they get excited,
Yeah.
and I do have one scholar in particular. He joined the debate team, and I also have a young lady that is headed to. Well, she's already at school. She did her orientation, and she joined the debate team as well. So I think the trend now is in scholars is headed towards political science more, and I
Interesting.
strongly believe because of the political challenges and
Challenges, yes.
social challenges and social injustice things that are going on, a lot of the scholars feel like, okay, I need to do this so I can change the world. And honestly, I believe they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good thing, isn't it? It's a
It
wonderful
is.
thing. I also read on your website, Monique, that you use data driven models to create maximum impact. Now, how exactly do you do that? And do you see any biases in that data? And how do you work on this?
Data, I guess because that is the educator in me. Like I said, I was in a classroom, I was an administrator, I was a coach. I think I've done everything literally in the school except for the custodian in the cafeteria, but I probably done that as a step in and didn't realize it. So we use data, especially when it comes to, like you said, we have to know what the trends are and what are they wanting to major in when they go to school. We also want to know, is it more girls wanting to go to school than males? What type of school are they wanting? A community college? Are they wanting a 4-year institution? Do they want a university or do they want a college? So we pretty much we use that to guide us where, but we also introduce them to all versions of colleges so that the decision is solely on the scholar. We give them all the tools and resources, but when it comes down to, okay, I'm going to this school, we truly let them make their own decision. But we do promote historically black colleges and universities because I'm a highly advocate because of the nurturing that you get when you first go off to school. Like I attended a historically black college and university for my undergrad degree. And if you remember, you know, my high school experience wasn't stellar.
Right.
But when I got to the campus of Wilberforce University, and I felt like I was at home, and I felt like for once I would not be known for all my past issues in education, my behavior, anything. And it helped me grow. And so I promised myself if I ever get to a point in life where I can help somebody who may have been that same scholar that I was, a mediocre scholar who just didn't care, I wanted to be able to provide that. And we honestly, we have done that. We have um, several kids that have already graduated from college. And some of them, I'm like, "Ooh, I remember you when you was in high school. I remember when your mom first brought you to this program." And we were like, what are we going to do?
Yeah,
And so we get really really excited. We get sad at high school graduation because we know we're not going to be close knit with them, but we get extremely excited when they go off into the world and they graduate from college. Like we had 5 graduate from college this year, so I was like, I guess in the crisis I was crying and screaming. I was crying because it was like, oh my god, I watched this child grow.
yeah, it's
But I
so
was
so beautiful to watch. Yes,
yes,
absolutely. I think that's the biggest reward. That's the biggest reward for you to see as a teacher. I've been a teacher too, and I know how it feels. It's just
yes.
amazing. That is an unbeatable experience, totally.
Hmm.
Uh, do you have an alumni association? Do you have an active alumni
Yes,
forum?
I am. Oh, you talking about for my program? No, but that's a good idea. That's something I might have to start doing because they do not like to leave. It's like one was like, well, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna get care packages anymore. I'm like, okay, I guess you're gonna have to start donating because you graduated from college.
Yeah,
But that's a good idea. That's something I might have to look into. Like once they
yeah, because
graduate
I'm
from college,
sure. Mm, yeah, you see, it's like a chain reaction. And when you get these alumni together, they can share their thoughts, they can share their experiences, and you
Mhm.
never know where this collaboration can take you, and the students as well.
Very true. That is
Uh,
definitely something to look into.
glad I mentioned that. And lastly, Monique, could you just leave us with a thought about education in general?
Yes, education. I always get the quote wrong, but education is pretty much a key to success. Even though you may have a rough start, as we discussed in this conversation, my rough start, was in high school. I just wasn't liking high school at all. I didn't want to be there.
Mhm.
I had no excuse. I just did not like it. I didn't like school. I didn't like the fact that I had to go sit somewhere that I didn't want to be. And so those decisions, I graduated with a 1.9 GPA, but somebody took a chance. And that's one of the things as educators that we have to know when it comes to those scholars that act like I do. I did back then, whether is
Absolutely.
that we can't give up on them. I mean, nobody gave up on me, so I try to help everybody I can get that concept that you can learn and you can succeed, and you are not your circumstances.
I love that. You are not your circumstances. That's beautiful. And with that thought, I think I will say goodbye now on this episode. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Thank you so much for sharing the work that you do. I'm sure you are an inspiration to many.
Thank you for inviting me.